Hey folks, Alex here from My Abode. We help brokerages grow without restrictions by allowing them to outsource their back office administration to us. I'm joined by Blair Anderson, VP over at Property.ca and Condos.ca, also the broker of record over there. We're very, very excited to have him here. Blair?
Well, thanks. I'm excited to be here. Just a little bit of background. So I'm the VP of Operations and Broker of Record at Property.ca, Condos.ca. About 20 years in the industry, kind of been here my whole life. Been around it my whole life. It's kind of in the blood. My father was a broker before I was born, fourth Remax broker in Canada in 1980. So yeah, it's kind of just something I've kind of been with my whole life. I didn't have a chance really.
Yeah. You didn't have a choice.
No,
You're
no
in it.
choice, no chance. It
Yeah.
was all in.
Yeah, awesome. Well, today I think what we're gonna talk a little bit more about starting a brokerage and really starting with the end in mind. I know Blair has a ton of experience, as he's alluded to, in this space, specifically with respect to building something awesome in properties.ca, condos.ca. So with that, I think what we're going to do is just touch on a few key points that I think people really miss. I think people get into the business and into the brokerage ownership business sometimes for the wrong reasons and sometimes without the end in mind. So we're going to touch on a few things today that folks should keep in mind. Blair, from your point of view, what are some reasons why people get into the industry when it comes to owning a brokerage, and what should they look out for? Maybe what should they ought to do better when making this decision?
Ooh, wow.
We're
There's a
starting
lot.
off easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say ease into it here. Okay, yeah, that's a loaded one. Look, it's whew, you know, as, for just a little bit of background too. I did start my own brokerage and ran it for about 6 years before I sold it. But I started a brokerage because I was at a point in my career where I was at a crossroads. I couldn't do more business by myself, so I needed to either go in the process of starting a team or starting a brokerage. I chose the brokerage side, obviously, and forwent the team the avenue. Um, and I did that because a decision was being forced upon me because I just couldn't continue the way I was. But I chose that because I've always kind of had this entrepreneurial mindset. I had started a business before, built it and sold it, not in the real estate world. So I had that kind of entrepreneurial aspect and wanted to be able to give what I had when I started in real estate to others. So kind of I mentioned that my father was a broker before I was born. So when I started into the business, I was really fortunate, right? I had a lot of advantages that others wouldn't have. So I had the best mentor in the business, right? Like he was right there. He was helping me. He'd been around for a long time. He'd been a broker owner. Like I say, he founded a Remax. And I had that kind of benefit that most agents just simply don't get, right? And I kind of looked at that and said, well, I know how fortunate I was. Maybe I can impart some of that onto others,
Right.
right? So that was the mindset behind starting the brokerage. Now, my experience is that that's not normal. That's not the way most people, or the reason most people start a brokerage. I think there's a misconception out there, and any broker owners out there that are listening are gonna this will resonate. It's people think starting a brokerage means you're gonna get rich, right? It's like that's the way to wealth. I got news for you. It's a tough business to do, and there's the old joke: if you want a small fortune, start with a large fortune and open a brokerage. You'll end up with a small one pretty quickly. But there's truth to that. There's a reason it's an old joke. Is it stands the test of time. So I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people get into the business as an agent for the wrong reasons, and I think people start brokerages for the wrong reasons too. I think they have this misconception, and maybe they haven't spoken to a lot of broker owners who are willing to give them the straight goods as to what's really involved, and it becomes quite a shock.
So from your perspective, when you started, you got to the point with your own business as a realtor that it became too much to handle. and you needed to scale up in order to do more business.
Right.
So for you, yeah, often people get, even, now people get to that point and they're like, okay, is it team or brokerage? And for you, going onto the brokerage side, you came into it with a perspective of, how can I help empower these folks? I've done this thing where I've started from, zero volume and got to, I can't handle this volume,
Yep.
kind of perspective, which is a champagne problem.
Yeah.
A lot of agents, especially starting out, would get there, but I think it sounds like that's a big part of the reason you started that brokerage, is so that you can empower these people and really, cook with bacon grease. Sorry for the expression,
Oh, I
but
like that one. Yeah.
and really, allow them to get to the point where you were.
Yeah. I needed to do something to alleviate, where I was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, again, like you say, good problem, first world problems, right? Like, there's worse reasons to start a brokerage, but um, within that, it was like, if I'm going to do this, honestly, it wouldn't be that much different than if I'd started a team as far as the mentality. If I'm going to do this, I want to be able to do this in a way that's going to help others.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's how you grow well,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how you build something that's going to last,
Mm-hmm.
is if you're helping others, right? They always say, if you want to start a business, well, find a problem, create a solution to that problem, and you have a business. So, I feel like one of the kind of standing problems in the industry is, the education for the agents, the knowledge, and um, you know, not just within the real estate world, but also business knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
business training. I think that if we can compile all that together for agents and help them that way, that's what builds agents that are, the phrase top producer, but that have longevity,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't care what an agent's goals are, we should want to help them achieve them, right? They may only want, listen, I only want to make, 60, 70,000 a year. Great, we can help you do that.
Yeah.
Or I want to make $500,000 a year. Well, we can help you do that. Or I want to make 2 million a year. Okay, we can help you do that too.
Right.
But it really depends on what their goals are to how we help them. But it's just, I guess it's that I have this whole thing, this giver's gain mentality. If we give enough, it will come back to us, right? So if I can do that enough times and duplicate that enough times, then as a broker owner, that'll benefit me too, right? I'll end up doing well as a business owner if I can duplicate that enough times.
100%. There's so many things I want to touch on here. One of them that I'm kind of fascinated by is, um, when you get to that fork in the road where you want to do more business, you need to alleviate, some of the work that you're doing. I guess there's really three. It's just hire an administrator, build a team, build a brokerage.
Yep.
If you're looking at, you're at that fork in the road, how do you decide to do one versus the other? Like, why would somebody build a brokerage such as yourself in this case versus start a team versus simply just hire an administrator and then continue to be in the weeds every day? Like,
Well, the continuing to be in the weeds every day wasn't an option. Like, that was something. It's, when every dream you have is about the work that you have to do the next day, that's a problem, because you're not really sleeping and you're not really doing that. So to me, that wasn't really an option. So it was one or the other. And I guess I felt, at that time, and this was, when was it, 2010. And that was, I just felt like the brokerage would afford me the opportunity to help more people, right? I guess you could still do that with teams now, and there's plenty of large teams out there now. Um, there weren't as many this size that we see today then, but I just felt like I could help more people if I went the brokerage, and then there's that entrepreneurial aspect to the brain.
having something to sell too.
Yeah, like that would, right, and build something. But I mean, I think there's a way to do that even as a realtor, but definitely with the brokerage side of things, that was the mentality that went through my head about, okay, I can help more people, and if I do that, it'll benefit me down the road. I had franchising ideas in my head. I had all these different things going on there, but it was like, okay, that's kind of the long-term thing. how do we get this
Right.
going to the point where it alleviates and then allows me to do the rest.
Right.
So
So essentially, it allows you to help maximum people while also having an entity that you could, well, that you own the whole thing for. You could potentially sell. You
yep,
could, there are of course advantages to having a brokerage as well from a tax
sure,
perspective. There are all kinds of advantages to actually owning it. But as far as starting it with the end in mind, I think for folks that are on that precipice of like, do I build a team? Do I scale that team? Do I just focus on that versus do I make this team brokerage? As long as you're, already doing the deals and you're not coming into the business with no deals and saying like, hey, how
right,
do I make money without actually being in transactions? I think that's probably if folks are in that position, maybe don't look to start a brokerage.
yep,
If I could be like direct about it, just because it's a whole nother learning curve. It's tough to train folks when you have less experience than they do at the thing,
yep,
right? A lot of the time, brokerages are built, or so it seems, by agents that have been productive and then go into it. It's an easy point for you to train
yeah,
them. Also, when you're in agents 1 to 50, you're probably going to have to be in transactions to, like, depending on your brokerage setup,
yep,
if it's full service discount versus anything in between,
right,
like you very well might actually need to be in transactions still
yep,
to make a living. So
yep.
like, I think that's a really important consideration. Is that
Yeah,
fair to
well,
say?
and then there's the balance too of, are you competing
Right.
with your agents,
Yes.
and how does that look,
Yeah.
and how do you sell that to the agents, right? How do the agents respond to that?
Right.
So there's a dance, I guess,
Mhm.
that you have to, sometimes you better be Gregory Hines and figure out how to tap dance real well
Yeah.
around some of those topics.
Mhm.
But to your point, I agree with it. It's, how are you going to, if you're not doing it, how do you have that credibility
Right.
to be able to impart that wisdom on others? So
Right.
it's recruiting is recruiting is a big thing for sure, and it's a difficult thing. And then it's, and I know we'll get into this, but it's the parts of the business that you didn't really necessarily know before,
Right.
the back end stuff and all the administration and all that goes into that, which is no shortage of a shock
Right.
to most people when they get in there, because as an agent, your deals just get processed
Right. It's
and you can't,
magic. You
and
just
you don't know
submit
how.
and you get paid.
Exactly. And you kind of go, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Or it's not fast enough, or it's this, and you get upset by it. And, you complain about the deals department and all that. And when you get into the actual operations of running a brokerage and you see what's involved in that,
Right.
and you get a peek behind the curtain, and it's
It's
it's not all you thought it was going to be. It's not all the roses and
Yeah,
butterflies.
peeking behind the curtain's a really good analogy for it. Like even at Realtor Quest, last time I was there, like it's mostly agents, probably like 80% plus agents, and we offer outsourced deal processing for brokerages. So I'd be chatting with agents, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I was like, "Oh, we do outsourced back office for brokerages," and they're like, "What does that mean? Like, what is?" What do you mean deal processing? Like, do
Right.
you write my offers for me? I'm like, well,
Oh,
like TBD, but like that's not it. It's it's when you submit your deals, there's a bunch of things that happen for you to be able to get paid on time,
yep.
and make sure that your brokerage actually stays a brokerage and is compliant, and so there's a whole black box there for a lot of agents, and I feel like for the agents that want to open up their own brokerage, peeking behind the curtain to see some of those things is a really important thing that you need to do.
Yeah, it's kind of a terrifying view behind that curtain. It's people think, like you say, it's like, whoa, oh well, what, can't be that difficult,
Hmm.
and they don't understand how much is involved.
Yeah.
And you said the magic word there is compliance,
Right.
right? The compliance side of things. I mean, as an agent, you don't want Rico ever knowing your name.
Right.
As a brokerage, they already know your name and they automatically come in and they do give you the audits, right? They come in and they go through everything with a fine tooth comb. And it, like, as someone who went through their first one, when they usually within about 6 months, maximum of a year after you start your brokerage, you're going to get your first audit. And it's one of the most anxiety ridden moments of your life. Like it really is terrifying. And I really don't think I'm overstating it when I say that. It's a moment that when it's done and you pass it and everything's good, it is like, oh my, the world has been lifted from your
Yeah.
shoulders. And again, anybody that's watching this that's gone through it will relate. And if you didn't have that anxiety, then you are a better human being than me, because my Lord, like it was just a stressful time.
Second only to a FinTrack audit.
Yeah. Well, and at the time there was no FinTrack for me, right? So FinTrack came out later. Yeah, that's a terrifying thing now for sure. Absolutely. But no, the deals processing at that point, and it was they give you the things, they tell you upfront what they're going to do and what deals to look at and all of these different things, and it's still, and it's fine.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter because you think they're going to find something. Oh my,
Yeah.
it's like a CRA audit, right?
Yeah.
It would be probably a similar kind of anxiety.
Boy.
No matter how well you think you've done, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be stressed. So yeah, that kind of stuff is the stuff people don't see. The agents don't see it. They just get a trade record sheet, they sign it, they probably complain here or there about things
Yeah.
and how fast and all these kinds of things, and they just don't understand what's involved. So it's an eye-opening moment for sure.
So we have maybe an agent or maybe a team lead that wants to open up a brokerage, and I think we've identified like the folks that could open up a
For the love
brokerage.
of God, don't do it.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Kind of.
Like it sounds like it's useful for folks that have been in the business. Now, if they're standing on the precipice and they're like, okay, brokerage is the way we want to go. I've been in the business. This is what I want to do. I got a team of 6. We're really busy. Let's say that person, like, what should they think about now that they've decided to start a brokerage, and they have a productive team? Um, how do you think that they should think about the next 3 to 5 years, even?
Well, I think they have to determine for themselves, what do you want this to be? Like, why are you
Yes.
doing this? Like, not just the why right now, why in the future? Like, when this thing gets to whatever you want it to be, and again, it's going to be different for everybody, but like, what is your vision for it? But what are your goals for it? What are your, you know, reasons for doing something that is going to, you think you're busy as a realtor, and then you start running a brokerage, and like it's going to, there's a joke that at the beginning of a startup that you don't own the business owns you.
Right.
It's true. Right? So why do you want to do that? I think that's more than anything, that is what I would kind of,
Yeah.
the question I would pose first and foremost. Why do you really want to do that? Because you're going to give everything to this thing for a while.
Mhm.
And you're going to be frustrated at times. And from both back office and on the front side of things, on the recruiting side. And you're going to have, and you're, I'm going to dispel some rumors for you.
Please do.
So you're going to have agents that you deal with and that are in your brokerage currently or whatever that you've spoken to, and they will tell you, because you've had these kind of, I'm thinking about doing this or whatever. And they're going to tell you, you start a brokerage, man, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm going to join. And then you're going to start a brokerage.
Yeah, you got
They disappear. They're not there. They don't join you. And you're like, what's going on? Why? If you said, just be prepared for that kind of thing, because it's going to happen. And again, I'll say it again. Those that have done it are going to be sitting in the right now watching this going, yeah, because it's just the way it is. And, you're going to have some really good moments of feeling phenomenal about what you're doing. And then there's going to be moments when you're going to be kicked in the teeth and you're going to be a gut punch here. And why do you want that? Right? That's what I like. Is it rewarding? Yes. Like for someone who did it, very, very rewarding. But you go through a lot to get to those rewards.
Mhm.
So I think your why for doing it has to be bigger monumentally than what those things are.
Than the pain that you
Absolutely.
experience in
And that's
actually.
with anything, but like really, there are so many aspects, and I don't want to, I know I may be making it sound like this is like a terrible thing to do starting a brokerage. And I joke about it a bit, but it was incredibly rewarding. But I don't want to downplay what is involved in it and the stressors and the things you just never imagined would be a part of it. So I just, when you ask about what should people be thinking about, and if we're down the road like that why for why you're doing it has to be big and has to be powerful because it's going to be tested. It's going to be tested regularly.
Right.
So that's kind of my overriding thing of that. I would just say your why has to be big.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about how to start, or at least where you should be when you think about starting.
Right.
And we talked about ending with like starting with a why as well. Like it is no joke as far as how difficult it can be to run a brokerage, particularly a small brokerage too. Like the adolescence period of like getting to that bigger stage comes with growing pains. I feel like a lot of broker owners, people that are starting brokerages, especially if they're deal people, love to be in deals. Like at the end of the day, we're all kind of deal people in some respect.
Oh yeah.
We're handshakers and baby kissers, right? Like this is what we're doing, shaking hands and kissing babies. So like um, that's what we're good at for the most part. That's a big part of what we're good at. What
Yep.
we're less good at is the back end or the things that we don't necessarily know about. But
Wait a minute. Agents aren't good at paperwork?
yeah,
What?
yeah, agents love paperwork.
Oh yeah.
Every
Yeah.
agent, never met an agent that hated paperwork. Obviously sarcasm there,
Yeah.
but
Just a little. Yeah.
yeah, just a bit. I guess my question for you, Blair, is when somebody's starting, let's say their why is big, they have a team. Um, how should they structure this? Like from a split perspective, from an efficiency perspective, how lean versus not. Would you recommend having? Well, I guess it depends on what they're doing, but like how does one make the decision to do something super lean versus have 15 offices and 100 agents versus everything in between? Like what's the consideration there? How would you look at that? And also like how would you know recommend people think about having a lean operation versus not and the
Right.
benefits of each?
Yeah. Oh,
Very, very simple question. It's
yeah.
probably yes or no answer.
Oh yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. This one's easy.
yeah,
Hey.
yeah.
No, look, I mean, there's lots of different structures, and business models for brokerages out there. You can be transaction based, you can be split based, you can be cloud based versus,
Yeah.
bricks and mortar, that kind of stuff. And I think, the why is going to inform some of that.
Mm,
Like if you are really wanting to, be strong on training, right? Like I really want to help agents and I really want to be strong on training. There's investment that's required in that, right? So that investment's going to require payback. So probably a transaction-based model is going to be a tough haul. You're going to have enough to last you until you get to enough agents.
right.
So recruiting is going to be a big one. Um, if you're like, well, okay, I'm not going to necessarily invest a lot into that, then okay. But maybe I'll provide leads, right? That'll be my value prop is I'll be able to provide leads. Well, okay, well then once again, it's a sizable investment into generating those leads and providing them and then you have to manage that process after the fact, which is a lot. I think it's a part of a lead generation brokerage. I think that is often misunderstood and missed is what do you do with those leads? Once you give them those leads, how are you making sure that your investment is being properly managed and maintained?
It's effectively a liability for you if you're giving away a lead without charging for it and you're making money on split until it's transacted.
Exactly. Right. Look, I mean, the reality is a brokerage, you owning a brokerage, you go to work and you lose money every day
Right.
until you don't.
Right.
right? And it's where is that point where you no longer lose the money? And it's the like I say, the why is going to inform which way you go, but then the amount of investment that you have, like there's going to be so many factors involved with how you're going to start that off. What about a location? So you know you've decided, okay, I'm going to be bricks and mortar. But now, what type of a location, right? Are we looking for a location that has, a lot of space for training, for offices for agents? Are you going to have, are you going to rent offices to agents? Are you going to be a bullpen? Are you going to be a combination? Like all of these different things. What is your staff going to look like? Because that's another thing people miss is the amount of staff that's required from front desk. Are you going to just have an automated service for answering calls, that kind of thing? What about your deal processing? How is that going to, your administration, accounting, all that? What kind of software are you going to invest in for that kind of thing as well? So there's so many different things to look at. And then even if you've decided, okay, this is the amount of space I want, all that, okay, do we want to have retail space? Do we want to have office building space? Do we want to be in an industrial area? That kind of thing. So there's still a ton of different avenues that you want to look at that are going to determine um, the type, I guess, right? So it's all the way down the line. This decision will lead to this decision, which will lead to this decision, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, I still say the why is going to inform that. Your budget's going to inform that. Um, maybe you don't have the budget for any of that.
Right.
Maybe it's just no. I'm going to be a budget brokerage. I'm going to offer my value prop is I'm cheap. Right. And try to recruit that way. Then you have to take what types of agents are you going to be recruiting at that point? If you're not offering much, no leads, no training, all that stuff, you're just cheap. What type of agents are you going to be attracting? Now, therefore, how many deals do they do? Therefore, how many agents do I need in order to pay for X, Y, Z from the administration side and all that? So, throwing a lot there, but that's but those are all the decisions that you have to sit down and take a look at, and it's not easy.
And I guess maybe just what you want to do, like as a broker. Two things that you mentioned I think are interesting. One is that the idea of the concept of runway. Like you're gonna wake up and lose money every day until you aren't.
Yep.
Right. And getting to that point where you're not is, I think, quick is the goal, right? You want to do that as soon as possible.
Yep.
But let's say, like tactically, if you have a 12-month runway for this thing that loses money all the time until it doesn't, then you have ideally within 12 months you're positive.
Right.
And hopefully you're still positive in the Januaries and Junes of the year, where volume is like, maybe not quite what it normally would be.
Good luck.
Yeah. Right. Like it's a lumpy business.
It is.
We're busy in the spring and fall.
Yep.
And
since COVID, the seasonality has kind of shifted a bit.
It's weird.
It's been an interesting shift. I think we're going to get back to it.
Yeah.
Back to the pre-COVID ways here in the next little bit. We're starting to see it, but yeah, it's going to be if you're profitable, if you're positive in 12 months, great. I mean, before real estate in a former life, I was an executive analyst for a business consulting company, and the biggest challenge most businesses have is they're underfunded when they start off in the first place. So it's making sure that that's sound for you. And then I can't stress this one enough is making sure your accounting is locked in, right? Like, at any given moment, you can pull up your system or talk to whoever it is that's running that for you and get the reports that where you're at. Because too many business owners that I have found, they don't understand their finances. They don't understand their accounting. And at the end of the day, when do you know? Well, it's like, when my accountant tells me, it's like, that's a problem, right? You're driving down the highway with a blanket on your windshield.
Right.
What did I just hit? I don't know.
You have no idea how much gas in your tank.
Right. You got to look at the rearview mirror to see what you hit, right? You don't know. So that's a problem. So all of those things are going to be very important things to understand before you even attempt to venture into down the road of doing this. Because if you're profitable in a year, hats off to you, because most are not.
Right. So like lesson number one, be in the business. Lesson number two,
Yes.
um, have a strong enough why.
Oh yeah.
Lesson number three, I would say, just plan, like budget and plan for the brokers that you're building and make sure you have enough runway. So three, have enough runway.
Yep.
Um, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's a lot of people, like we've talked about, just kind of get into it and just kind of like, we'll figure it out. We'll put a sign on the door effectively, and we'll figure it out. It's like, well, you're gonna figure something out.
That is
You're gonna
very
learn.
dangerous.
Yeah, you'll learn something.
Yeah, but that, like, of all, I mean, they're all important. Um, but your why, the why, I can't get away from that. I think it's important in every aspect of what you do, period. But your why has to be so huge.
Right.
Yeah,
Because if it's not big enough, you don't have enough fuel in the tank to solve those difficult to solve problems.
that's it.
Okay, so far our lessons from this chat are: one, be in the business.
Yep.
Two, what's your why? You got to have a strong enough why to get over the humps and get through the hurdles that exist in this business,
Yep.
like any business, to be honest.
Yep.
Three, have enough runway so that whatever model you have actually enough money in the bank to be able to get through the not unprofitable months, because you're definitely not going to be profitable every month, and you're probably not going to be profitable in the first year. We'll see about after that, but start with enough runway. It's going to take more than you think.
And whatever curveballs get thrown your way, you can sustain. Yeah.
Of course, you got to have an oh no fund.
Yeah,
I
yes.
clean that up for
I like it,
everybody.
yes.
Fourth, um, fourth thing that I think is a really important thing for folks to kind of keep in mind when they're building and scaling their own brokerage is to specialize versus when to not. And when I say that, I mean when we start, we want to, like, often owners have the idea that they need to be in everything. So they need to do the deals. They need to, like, do the compliance. They need to, write the offers. They need to be in the living rooms. They need to, like, do all of the things. And while you might feel like you have to from the beginning, to look at do like a workflow audit of yourself and what your business actually needs, and where can you uniquely, where's your zone of genius? Like, what can you get disproportionate returns on? One example might be, since a lot of people that get into this business are deal people, if you're not going to be transacting yourself as a brokerage owner, maybe you're recruiting, maybe you're trading. Those are all things that people that have the experience are usually pretty good at.
Yep.
Usually not the back end, which it is what it is. But Blair, how do you look at that? Like, when you have, let's say somebody has their brokerage, they're in the business, they're at medium, they're like trying to scale up, they're trying to figure this thing out. Sometimes it's profitable, sometimes it's not. They've got a lot of things coming at them in a lot of different directions. Like, how should they look at their problems and look at how to start specializing in some of these aspects of the business?
Yeah. Learn to do one of the most terrifying things that any business owner has to do, and that's delegate. We are control freaks. We want to do everything. We want to control all aspects, but you can't do that and scale.
Right.
So you're going to have to delegate. If you talk to any top team leader, any top brokerage owner, they'll probably all tell you, I suspect, tell you the same thing, and that is, the sooner you delegate, the faster you'll scale. Right? So you're good at certain things, do those things. The things you're not good at, delegate to those who are good. Find the people that are really, really good at those things, trust them to do it, and then set them loose, right? Let them actually do those things. And that is where you're going to see the next level of growth within your business. Whether you're, this goes for realtors and brokerage owners, right? It's the same thing. It's, if you're good in a living room, get in more living rooms. Get someone else to do the non-revenue generating activities that you're not good at, or that you hate doing. There are things that you might be okay at doing it, but they're like a life suck, right? They just absolutely suck the life out of you because you just hate doing it, right? Like, Can I do a spreadsheet? Can I come up with a plan? Yeah. Does it suck the life out of me? Yeah, it
Yeah.
does, right? So, just because like, you're good at it, if it's going to drain you and then you have no energy to do those other things, that's also something that you might want to consider
100%.
passing on to someone that's really good and has the energy to do it. Now, I say that, and don't get me wrong, I think it's an incredibly important thing for a new brokerage owner to understand all aspects of the business. Like I do think you have to understand how to process a deal. I think you need to know how to do that. I think you have to understand how your accounting works.
Mhm.
You need to understand it, but you just don't need to spend your time in it.
Right.
Because as a new brokerage owner, there's going to be times when what hits the fan and things are going to be, oh my God, I'm going to have to step in here and do something because they're sick, they leave, they resign, they whatever. I mean, things happen. Um, and so you can't have that halt your business, right? So you're going to have to step in. Like I learned how to process deals. I learned how to go into Lone Wolf and do those kinds of things. Did I enjoy it? No, but did I have to do it? Yes. Um, make sure you understand when you're going through your reconciliations every month. What are you looking for? How are you going to make sure that that is right so that when that RICO audit happens that I talked about earlier, you're not going to be in super panic mode, right? It's stressful enough. You don't need to add the added stuff to it. So I think understanding it all is important, but delegating it to the right people is going to make your life more enjoyable. It's going to make running the business more enjoyable, and it's going to allow you to scale much, much better and much quicker.
100%. And to be fair, I don't know how many people actually enjoy being a lone wolf, but that's
They're
that's
there's they're a special breed.
yeah,
And we
yeah.
love them.
Bless them.
We
Couldn't
love
do
them
without
dearly.
it.
Absolutely, we love them dearly.
That's right. So it's almost like you have to look at the business, the actual work that you're doing, and the business that you're in, and the work that everyone else is doing with a return on time lens, not just for the return on your time to actually do those things, but the return on, you know, the return on them doing it and you not. Like if
Absolutely.
if you freed up 30% of your week, like what could you do with that 30%? If you focused it on recruitment activities, you
There
could
it is.
probably recruit 30% more agents.
That's it. I mean, the recruiting, like, listen, the brokerage game is a recruiting game,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, we know that, look, not all agents produce. That's just the reality of
Yeah.
life, right? If you have 20 to 25% of your agents producing, you're probably doing pretty well. Um, and that's just that may make people cringe, and sometimes it's things that we don't like to talk about, in things, but that's the reality. And if we're going to be real, let's be real, and that is
For sure.
real.
100%.
And so if you have 100 agents and 20 to 25 of them are producing, and by the way, that's pretty good.
Right.
For
Yeah.
most brokerages, 20 to 25 is that's there's brokerages that wish it was 20 to 25 for
100%.
them. So you know, so what are you doing? You need to recruit more. And again, it comes back to what's your goal? What's your vision? What's your plan? What are you looking for? How are you looking to scale? And then, you know, it's, I guess if you are looking to scale big, and this comes back to your why, and this comes back to your vision and your goal, if you're looking for that, then you need to free that time up to make sure you're doing that. Without a doubt, 100%. Even if you don't necessarily want to be big, like you don't want to be 1,000 agents. You're fine being like at my brokerage, I had 58 agents.
Mhm.
I wanted more and I was going to get more, but I felt okay even
Yeah.
at 58. Like
Right.
that was fun. I was enjoying that. You still need, like, I still couldn't be tied into all those other parts of the business.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that and manage 58 agents. So, it's a matter of, figuring out where you want to be, where you are, and what you want out of it.
Right.
Right. At the end of the day, too, is what do you want?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we talk about all these other grand ideas, but what do you want as a brokerage owner
Yeah.
at the end of the day?
Back to lifestyle too, right? Like this will consume your life. Like you will be busy every day.
Oh, yeah.
On the evenings and weekends, you're not exempt from this, as we know as realtors. Do you like it or
Right.
not? Right.
Well, and that's like, you're the broker, so are you the broker of record of this thing? So, I'm assuming you are. And because you probably can't, if you're that small, you can't afford to pay a broker of record. So it's going to
100%.
be you.
Yeah.
And as a broker of record, your responsibility is to make sure you're there, right? You're there for those agents. You take those evening calls, you take those weekend calls, you're helping them, you're guiding them through a deal.
Yep.
And that's your job. That's part of the gig. And I know it's not necessarily, what every broker of record wants to do all the time. Like, you don't always want to take a call at 11 o'clock at
Of
night,
course not. Yeah.
but to you, it's okay. It's a call at 11 o'clock at night. And if that's your attitude, you're going to struggle, because this is one of my agents that I promised something to when I recruited them, and they're doing a deal. If they're calling you at 11 o'clock at night,
It's kind of weird.
they're doing a deal.
Yeah.
At least they better be.
That is my line.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like they're doing a deal and they need that help. They need that help in that moment that could make the difference between them making that deal or not making that deal. So you better like it.
Right.
All right. You better get your head around that. But it's just another aspect of running a brokerage. So yeah, it's get used to it.
Yeah. Love it. Lesson number 4, specialize when you need to. Look at
Yep.
things with a return on time perspective and lens, and enjoy every day, because you're in it whether you like it or not. So you might as well enjoy it if that's what you're going to start. So,
Yeah. I mean, listen, you can't be the jack of all trades and master of none.
of course.
You can't be, right. You have to focus on what you're good at and let people do the other things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
Let go.
Okay, so far we've talked about a lot. We've had a good chat about, kind of why we're getting into this business, and make sure that we're going into this business with intent, and that we're creating a brokerage with the end in mind. Now, Blair, what's the number one thing, that the last piece of golden advice for you in all your years, that you would give to folks either scaling up a business right now or thinking about starting a brokerage?
Wow. Okay. I'm going to cheat on this one. I'm going to cheat because I'm going to say two things. Because I think they go hand in hand. And that is, first and foremost, and I say this I think in every aspect of life, is your why.
Right.
Your why has to be big enough. Your why has to be powerful enough. Your why has to be bigger than the pain of doing the things that you're going to have to do in order to make it happen. But the cheat is delegation. I think that's the other aspect of that. So you have to have the big why, but then you have to understand you can't do it all yourself, and you're going to have to delegate and just trust the people that you bring in
Mhm.
to do that.
Right.
I think if you have a big enough why and you're really good with that delegation, I think your chances of success increase exponentially.
Awesome. Blair, thanks so much. A lot of fun.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Thanks so much.
Anytime.